Good morning, lovelies. Genesis breakdown. Let's talk about it. Jesus, coffee, yay. So, yesterday we had a guest speaker at the church because we did a missions conference. And the gentleman's name was Brooks Buser. Well, he's been a missionary a lot of his life. In a remote island near Australia called Papua New Guinea. And he's actually part of a tribe of the Yembe Yembe. And these people had nothing. They were an unreached people. He went to them, reached them, took years, actually ended up fully becoming fluent in their language. And described yesterday, good morning, Linda, described yesterday how everything he needed to do before he could begin to tell them about the God of the Bible. Because they had their own God. And before you try and tell them about this one, he said something that really struck me. He said, if you just walk in and you just share the gospel is going to get kneecapped because you haven't given them a reason to listen to you. And I thought about that, and I'm like, man, how many times evangelistically have I walked around and shared the gospel? And what Brooks was doing was, Brooks would actually not only told them about Genesis, they would actually act out Genesis for them. Genesis 1-3 for them. And what he said yesterday that God just dropped right on me is to share the gospel. If people don't understand Genesis 1-3, they're not going to understand the Gospels. Because if you don't understand what you need to be saved from, why would you agree to be saved? I was like, whoa, wow. He needed to make the God of the Bible very real for them. And he actually told some very, very cool stories about getting to and playing out the moment of temptation, the moment where the fall happened. And it was so cool to listen to. Like people actually running up and stopping the woman playing Eve, grabbing her hand so that she wouldn't grab the fruit because they didn't understand that this has already happened. And everything they were talking about, they were afraid that would happen to their descendants, and they didn't want anything to happen to their descendants. So it's beautiful to watch him explain to such a new language and such a new people group that they didn't understand this. So, and I thought about it and I was like, you know what? That's what we're going to do all this week. We're going to break down Genesis 3. Good morning, 6. We're going to dig into Genesis 1-3, Monday through Thursday, and really make it real. Because you need to understand. If you don't understand sin, truly understand sin, and truly understand who God is, one, why would you want him if you don't truly understand who he is? And two, why do you need to be saved if you don't understand sin and you don't understand what comes with sin? Right? Why would you want something that, well, I've heard about it, but, you know, I've heard about a lot of things, but unless you've ever seen them and understood them, doesn't make the same sense, you know. Yes, you got to have the basic understanding. So we're going to go into the basic understanding, and I want you to look for God. Don't look for you as I'm reading through this, as you're listening. Don't look for me. Don't look for you. Look for God in this. Okay? Still probably one of the most poignant things I've heard. And as I go through the Bible recap every day, once I've stopped looking for me and started looking for him, good morning, my mermaid, I see him. In the beginning. And this right here, these first 10 words in the Bible tell you that this God of the Bible, is outside of time, outside of matter, and outside of space. And that all comes to life in the first 10 words. In the beginning, so there's time, he created it. God created the heavens. There's space, right? Created time, created space, and the earth, and there was matter. The God of the Bible had to be outside of time, space, and matter in order to create it. Good morning, Melinda. So there you go. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. God created. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God, we have a spirit. The Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Then God said, you ready for the Big Bang? Let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light, and it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So the evening and the morning were the first day. So there you go. Nothing has any shape yet. Everything is very raw. And the Spirit's hovering over the waters. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. So that firmament is, we'll get to that firmament. Well, we see that firmament come into play in the flood. That firmament was actually basically an ice cap around the earth, basically an ice shield around the earth. Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Thus God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. So you have the heavens, you have the sky, you have the clouds, and then the waters that were under it, which is the seas, the rivers, the lakes. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. So the evening and the morning were the second day. And God said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered together in one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And God called the dry land earth. And the gathering together of all the waters he called the seas, where my mermaid loves to be. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass and herb that yields seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit of its own kind. So God has created the raw, right? Created the raw material. Then he shaped it, right? Said it was good. Shaped it, gave us light. But here's one thing I want you to see, and I want you to hold on to that thought of he gave us light. I want you to hold on to that. He gave us light in day one. I want you to hold that, because that's going to come into play later. So now he's starting to fill it, right? So he's going to start to fill it with grass. He's going to start to fill it with food. He's going to fill it with fruit, right? So God creates, forms it, shapes it, and now he's starting to fill it, right? And the earth brought forth grass, the herb that yields a seed according to its kind, and the tree that yields fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. What a genius, right? So I'm going to make this fruit, and it's got seed in it, so it can be produced again from its own, right? And God saw that it was good. So the evening and the morning were the third day. So now we got 3 days, right? Here's where I want you to hang on to, and we're going to stop. I'm going to pump the brakes after this, but here's what I want you to see. God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night. Let them be for signs and seasons, and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth." Well, wait a minute. We already have light, right? The day and the night, right? We already have light. Oh, but now he's going to create the celestial bodies that are going to give us light. So if we've had day and night for 2 days already, for 3 days already, sorry, because this is day 4. If we've had day and night for 3 days already, but on day 4 is where the celestial bodies are being created, yes, I will come save you again. I love you. Where did the day and the night come from? Where did that light come from? You think about that. Then God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made stars also. God set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth, and to rule over the day and the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. God saw that it was good. So the evening and the morning were the 4th day. So I'm going to pump the brakes on day 4 at verse 19. So here we are, right? He's created the raw material. He's created time, space, and matter because he's outside of them. He gave the matter shape. Then he turned around and gave it water. Gave it a firmament, a shield, a protection. The heavens, right? Then he started to fill it, started to decorate it, if you will, right? But all the while, we have day and we have night for 3 days. And then on day 4, he said, oh yeah, then I'm going to hang the sun, the moon, and the stars. What gave us light for the first 3 days? I'll let you guys think about that. You guys can answer that in the comments. So tomorrow we'll pick up from verse 20 in Genesis 1, and we'll go through. We'll finish out Genesis 1 tomorrow, and then we'll rock through Genesis 2 over the next couple days. Genesis 2 is pretty short. So we'll finish up Genesis 1 tomorrow. Then we'll do Genesis 2 on Wednesday, and Thursday we'll get into Genesis 3. That's the breakdown of how our week's going to kind of look. Gold star to whoever gets the answer first on the lighting, the day and the night. So I love you guys. We're going to go through this slow, and we're going to walk through this. And I hope, my prayer is that 2 things happen this week. 1, you meet and understand the God that walks through the pages of this Bible. You meet him. You get to see him. You get to understand who he is and what he's done just in creation. That's my prayer for you, is you meet him, and by the time we get through Thursday, you understand, one, not only who he is, but why he is who he is. And then we'll introduce and talk about his son on Friday. The Creator, who, by the way, is doing all of this. As we see in John 1, in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. So Jesus is actually the Creator through all of this. It's not the Father, it's the Creator, Jesus. So that's the one you're meeting right now. Getting an introduction to everything he does. And you even got an introduction into the Spirit. Right? So I love you guys so much. He loves you beyond. So we'll be back tomorrow with more of talking about creation. But whatever Dad wants to talk about. Love you guys.